luck over there? Any survivors or squatters?
No. Trash. Some more tires. Some plastic bags. Another empty street.
This place must have been pretty nice once upon a time.
Probably. Yeah, probably. Fuck it. I'm gonna call it in. You okay if I call it in?
Yeah, sure.
Lodestone, this is Amber March. Plowa Town, East Parish Street. No bodies, no squatters, no survivors. Over.
Amber March received. Continue search. How copy?
Lodestone, Amber March, Wilco, over.
And when did this happen? When did, all this get so bad? Was when we were still in Africa or something?
It was always happening. Just in the background. Someplace else. Not your problem, so you don't notice.
I guess it was pretty much just a matter of time. Still.
Yeah.
It reminds me. Remember Katrina, right? All the storms, like the ones that hit Texas?
Yeah.
Reminds me of photos. Like the photos of those places. Just abandoned. Just going to rot. Probably a dozen towns across the Gulf Coast there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot like that. Doesn't need to be wiped out hard. This needs to be too expensive for them to fix it all back.
And that was there, stateside. I mean, fuck man, imagine. Probably had millions of billions to unfuck all that. And it went nowhere. Couldn't even clean up the first world. These people here, nothing but pennies, crumbs, and pocket lint. While their living room was turning into a kiddie pool. They would have killed for even a scrap of that, even a bit.
Yeah, but hey, at least we brought enough tents for him now. Come on, there's nothing to find here. Let's move on to the next street and finish this town before breakfast.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. Moving out.
Just another empty ruin of half-flooded memories.
Systems collapse. What is it? How does it happen? When people think of the worst times this world can bring, they think of horrible wars. They think of disease, natural disasters, famine. They think of genocide. But worse than any of them is systems collapse. A period lasting hundreds of years. The collapse of nations. Entire languages vanishing. Entire cultures ending. And if you were born, you could grow up and live your entire life and barely see a third of its time pass. Not until the time of your grandchildren, or even great-grandchildren, will things begin to improve, not to their original heights, but merely to stabilize. Not for perhaps centuries, generation after generation, will the world and humans see a time as prosperous and wonderful again. And this is not the collapse of an empire either. Not even the fall of the Western Roman Empire really captures the full horrifying impact of a system collapse. Singular empires falling do not guarantee the kind of implosion systems collapse does. Not the Black Plague, not even the massive raw mechanical death of World War I or World War II come close to the impact a systems collapse has. The worst and best example is the Bronze Age collapse. Like a row of dominoes, one by one, group after group perishes, nation after nation, culture after culture. And of the few that do survive, as in Egypt's case, they are reduced so badly they will never recover quite the same way again. The memory of this destruction lingers in cultural stories passed down, in the plagues of the Old Testament and Exodus, of the destruction of the once rich Canaan and Egypt. It lingers in the Greek stories of Atlantis, of the gold and silver races of men, all lost and destroyed seemingly overnight. It lingers in the memories of King Midas and Troy, of trading empires that once wrapped the ancient world, but then vanished. But once again, what exactly is it? How exactly does it happen? What causes it? To understand in part, we must add one more group, one final group to our picture of the Bronze Age, the Sea Peoples. Who they were and where they came from remains, despite our best efforts, largely a mystery. They came from the ocean. They brought with them their families, came into lands once held by the Bronze Age nations, and then, just as quickly, vanished into history. When Egyptologists found the depictions of their battles, it was a mystery. In the time of Ramses III, around 100 years after the Battle of Kadesh, Egypt repulsed an attack from this group. For some time it was hoped that this was the answer. The Bronze Age collapse, the systems collapse, the destruction of civilization could be blamed on these invaders, coming in and conquering the older web of nations. But then, why was no trace of them solidly left? Why did no Sea People empires arise? Why do we lack even primary evidence of who they were, what language they spoke, where they came from? The real answer is because of something dreadful, something terrifying. When disaster befalls humankind, if someone is to blame, there is responsibility and anger. Someone has done something wrong. But as more research was done, as more evidence arose, it revealed the Sea Peoples as well may have merely been victims themselves, fleeing their own changing climate, drought, and disease. And many of the sites thought leveled by them instead looked to be civil wars and rebellions not caused by or related to them with such confidence. And this is the terrifying fact. When no one is to blame, when everything goes wrong because of a nebulous and massive network of reasons beyond any one human life. This is the true horror of the system's collapse. Of any disaster where the world itself causes and grows the destruction from no clear source. There is no easy blame. No anger, just fear. A period of hardship brought on by failure from multiple points. A period of suffering longer than any one human life. And yet, even a system's collapse is not absolute. It does not wipe out humanity as a whole. There will always be survivors. What then can be said of those people? When real life is not a disaster movie, when real misery lasts generations, and not Atlantis' day and night of destruction, when the course of human history drags the fate of so many lives along with it.
Lodestone, Amber March, starting main island patrol of Route 15, over.
Copy that. Amber March, proceed as planned.
Okay, see you guys later. And remember to bring those non-shitty cards to the mess hall.
Yep, see you at dinner.
Okay, Amber 3. Just like the patrol plan. Go east, cut through the in-road at Place Douane Road, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. Then we go off to what's left of the port. Swing around from there.
Yeah. Okay, let's get going.
So why are we here? Halfway around the world on some tropical island. Why was that machine there in that flaming village? I can't answer the second question. But the first lies with Clausewitz. War is the continuation of politics with other means. People think those other means fighting. But war is already that continuation. In truth, those other means were the diplomats and negotiators. And now they had that. The one final chance. One more shot at de-escalation. The enemy AUGs. Whose was it exactly? These machines are not just vehicles. They are extensions of the nations and their goals who make them. It isn't as simple as just, there is the enemy, now shoot. The consequences would have been dire. So a large bulk of UN MOSAF was still back in Syria, including the rest of the 6th Squadron, to hold down the Humanitarian corridor. But in the interest of calming things down, Tyrannus and the LHD-9 Okinawa was sent to a more urgent diplomatic mission abroad. This island had been hit hard by just about everything this year had thrown at it, and the previous 3 decades of slow, inevitable climate change. Our machines were perfect for patrolling and helping out with the efforts here. But my mind still returned to that village in Syria. In a way, it was a victory. The attack that had wiped out the Kurdish in that village to the west was a test. It had been timed to coincide with the Russian provocation to the east. We did not swerve. We kept our cool. I didn't bite the bait. Didn't engage them, even as they wanted. Meanwhile, the Russians leveled the village on one side, and 50 Kurdish YPG fighters got completely annihilated on the other. It didn't feel like a victory, in any way besides political.
Think he's still mad?
Amber 2? Yeah, probably. You know I wanted to, but it was for the best.
Yeah, I guess.
I mean, what? I pulled the trigger, and then what? A fucking international incident. Man, fuck that.
But all we trained for, just to use these things, know how to gun with them.
Yeah, but sometimes all that training is just for that. When not to do it. We're going to have to cut north through Delta Camp. That's Beta Camp over there. Look at how these people are living now. A third of the island's crammed into these tents.
I heard there might be some rebels now, on some of the islands here.
Probably a black market as well. Anywhere things get desperate, some hyenas and vultures will try to swoop in, take a cut, and pick the bones.
Here now, it's got to count for something.
I don't want to think about how bad things are going to get if COVID gets to these islands.
These camps, it burned through them like dry kindling. At least they have higher ground to move to.
Yeah, come on. Let's keep going. Okay, there's the old airport. Gamma camps up at the diesel power plant.
Hey, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Why did you sign up? Like, why the AUGs? Why not tanks?
I guess it was just sorta always what I wanted. Ever since I was a kid. Just always there. no matter how old I got.
The mech thing?
Yeah. I had a VHS cassette. It was Mighty Machines or something. Had some of the first footage of them being tested. All the weird prototypes. Something just sort of stuck. It felt right somehow. No matter how old I got, these machines just sort of always lingered in my mind.
Even if it meant going to war? Even if it meant fighting or killing?
Yeah, I think when I was younger, I just thought it made it all cooler. But now, I guess it's just sort of a responsibility that comes with these machines. What about you? How did you end up in all this?
I think I always just sort of had the reaction speed for it. Didn't have any real plans when I left high school. And one thing sort of went to another. It is kind of funny, though.
What?
I remember when I was really young. I thought it must really be bad to be part of war.
Violence and all that?
No, not even. It was more like once you were part of one, your whole life gets wrapped around it. The interviews with all the veterans, everyone always asking you about it.
Yeah. Like no matter how old you got, that is the part of you that sticks into history or something.
Yeah, every year you'd have a Holocaust survivor come and talk in the gym. Now I'm just trying to think, what if something happens here, or soon? Is that it? The thing I'll be living out and talking about for the rest of my life?
Okay, we're coming up on Delta. I'll get them to wave us through now.
Okay, yeah, I see.
But yeah.
Hold on.
I guess that's the trait though, right? Young men trade away our youth. In return,
Okay, yeah,
we get a
go
sense of
through 'em.
meaning, something bigger,
Yeah, go on
a
through.
sense of purpose, and a lot of bad memories as well.
Yeah.
But hey, if you knew all that back then, why did you still sign up?
I think I must have completely forgotten about it.
Yeah, that is life. When you're a kid, you can just sort of intuitively know these kinds of things. Then the rest of life happens and you sort of forget about learning them.
Lodestone to Amber March. Respond. I repeat, Amber Actual. Respond.
This is Amber 1 to Lodestone. We're a few clicks up from the coast. What's up?
Got a potential tasking for your boys, and your highback's perfect for the job.
Okay. By the map route Lodestone mentioned, it should be just up this ways, a bit past the town. Hey, when you were growing up, did you ever go to a Blockbuster?
What? Yeah. Yeah. They were kinda everywhere at one point. I went to them pretty often, I think. What makes you bring that up?
You just mentioned before about VHS tapes. Just sort of had a weird memory is all.
Yeah. Back then people went maybe, I don't know, once a week, once a month. They had games as well.
Yeah? Renting games, huh? Back when games still had a disc or cartridge or whatever.
Yeah. It was pretty good. Actually really good now that I think about it. New games you could rent for a week for $12. Older games were around $1 or $2 a day.
Damn, so a new game could be $50 or $60. If you rented it for 2 weeks, played all you wanted, I could see poorer folks really getting a lot from that, savings-wise.
Yeah. And you always had your saves on your memory card, unless you needed space. You could just rent them again. God, there was some good shit. Halo, Half-Life, Metal Gear Solid. a dozen Final Fantasy games. No one I knew managed to finish.
Did they do PC games?
I think so. I didn't really have a good enough computer. There was also like some kind of anti-piracy thing as well you had to pay for, so you didn't just rip the game from the disc.
I guess they still sort of have it now. Virtual rentals and all that, usually through the online store, you know.
Yeah, but it's just not quite the same. Without the real process, going out, a physical disc.
Yeah, it just sort of misses something, I guess. Okay. The call came in from north of here, but the road's out. We're gonna have to boost over.
Yep, okay. You go on, and I'll come in after you.
That must be the accident up ahead.
Lodestone, Amber March. We are approaching the accident site with ease. Over.
Okay, Amber March, take a good look around. See how you can help. Put those million-dollar monsters to good use. But proceed at your own discretion. How copy?
Lodestone, Amber March, Wilco. We'll see what we can do here. Amber 3, looks like we have some wounded and injured.
Also looks like the landslide came through here pretty bad. It would take hours to fully clear the road by hand.
Okay. You talk to them and see what they have to say. I'm gonna radio in a helivac. Probably pop a smoke in the clearing we landed in.
Hello, Islanders. Remain calm. We are with the UN MOSAF Humanitarian Forces. Medical personnel are on the way. If you know of any persons in need of immediate attention or rescue, please now inform us. Any persons with critical injuries should be brought forward immediately.
Lodestone, this is Amber March. We have wounded and a landslide at the houses in this area. Probably a dozen injured, 6 critically known of at this time. Requesting an immediate helivac. Landing site can be marked with smoke. Over.
Amber March, Lodestone. Mark the site. The chopper will be out in 20 mics. Scan for people trapped in the debris.
Lodestone, Amber March. Wilco, already on it. Okay, what are we dealing with?
Our people here are in pretty rough shape. Another 2 can't move. They say there is some folks probably still trapped in their houses. The landslide hit in the early morning when they were mostly asleep.
Okay, chopper's coming in 15 to 20. We'll stretcher out the critical, we'll detach the 120s, then move to save anyone trapped in the rubble.
Sounds good. We need to get on it before it's too late. Okay, on 3.
Yep.
1, 2, 3. Hup!
Okay, another few over here. The door was blocked.
That should be the last of them. They said everyone is accounted at least as far as those who lived here.
Okay, that should be it then. I'll radio it in, we can finish our patrol.
We're glad to be of help. The medics will oversee everything from here. If you need supplies, report to the nearest village and UN MOSAF will give what we can.
Y'all take care now. Lodestone, this is Amber 1. The medics have things under control. The helivac should be back in about 5 mics. Make sure to send some road clearing teams today if possible. Proceeding with patrol, over.
Amber March, solid copy. We'll get some teams out there tonight. You've done well. Good hunting.
I felt pretty good.
Yeah, it sure did.
When this is all over, I think I'd like to do something like that full time.
Yeah. After all the destruction and killing, it might be good for us to save some folks instead.
Yeah, and the worst was like when bad tapes would get melted inside your VHS. It would totally screw it up and... Wow. Would you look at that?
Wow. So this is it, huh? The Guanpana mine?
Yeah, this is it. It looks like an open wound.
1 billion tons of rare earth, gold, iron ore, other shit. Feels a little gross just being carved out of this tropical place.
Yeah.
If this mine wasn't here, do you think you and Mosaf would be here?
You mean, do you think we would care? People would care? About this island?
Yes.
I think this mine connected this island to the world. It made people in Canada and Germany and China and Australia think of this island. People from things like Rio Tinto.
It's also been closed since '06, since they had their little war over it here. I guess it was for the better.
Yeah, but it's still connecting them. Ah, hell. Who are we to even complain about something like this? Look at us. Our machines are made from the stuff they get from things like this. They're powered by refined oil pulled out of even weirder places.
I guess you are right about that. Bunch of giant iron hypocrites.
Yeah. Hey, you ever read Shakespeare?
What? Yeah. Yeah, I guess.
There's this one line. I used to repeat it to myself. The weight of this sad time we must obey.
King Lear, I think.
Yeah. I used to just repeat it over and over, because it sounded badass when I was a teenager. But that isn't even the full kind of verse, really. The full verse is, the weight of this sad time we must obey. Speak what we feel, not what we ought to say. The oldest hath borne most, we that are young shall never see so much, nor live so long.
What made you think of that?
The mine, this island, our mission. I knew mentioning some of that stuff from when I grew up, when I was young. Climate change was just a thing, something you recycled your cans about.
And now look at how the world is changing because of it. Oh, I think that's the old port up ahead. Amber 3 to Lodestone. We're coming up on the old port now.
Amber March, Lodestone. Roger. You're a bit behind, but we're not on a tight schedule.
Yeah, exactly. It's real now. It sucks, and it's very real. It was always real. I don't know. Part of me feels like we were just like the people on this island. We were living in this paradise time, but all the while we were logging and cutting and stripping it down. We were kind of fucking ourselves in the long run.
Yeah, I think I know what you mean.
But another part of me says that is ridiculous. As good as it was, as good as it feels, to remember when I grew up, it was also like this island in another way. It was isolated, ignorant, not really affected by the rest of the world. There was wars, there was killing. Just because it was good for us didn't mean anything for anyone else. Was it really such a perfect time?
Besides, isn't it kind of stupid and unfair?
What do you mean?
I could live to 100. Would it be kind of bullshit to be told a decade you were barely even, aware of was the best time ever and the rest of your life was never gonna compare?
Yeah, that is kind of stupid as hell. 6-year-old and someone says, okay, bud, all downhill from here. Fuck that.
Yeah. People made that time special because they tried their hardest in games and art and shit. And sure, we were young, but everyone has to grow up eventually. I don't know. If we tried, if we all tried again, I think we could make a better world, beyond even just reliving that one.
Yeah, I think you're right. And anyway, we're lucky. We're young. If the shit time is just starting, who knows? Maybe we could put an end to it before we're even 50.
Fuck yeah. I want to retire to see the 2090s. Fucking see the Matrix 9, 100 CGI Keanu's in VR.
Fuck off.
Bring back the leather Nehru jackets with the sunglasses. Holographic Spice Girls World Tour.
Yeah, sure. Why not? Amber March to Lodestone. We're pretty much done out here. Swinging back now. Should be only 30 mics. Over.
Amber March, this is Lodestone. Received. Good work today. Dinner bell's ringing.
The little ships dotted the harbor. From our makeshift barracks, I could see the Okinawa in the sunset light. All the little newly built ramshackle huts lining the flooded port and city. It's true, there was no end here. The new world was being built on top of the old, as it always was. Life went on for these people. They had lived on this island for hundreds of years. They'd survived colonization, foreign governments, worse diseases than COVID. High waters were not going to wash away their lives. They would just have to adapt. We all would, who lived on this planet. But still, I did have a nagging sensation of a special time fading away. Magic leaving the world. Some kind of warm place that I couldn't get to anymore. Of the world turning once again back into a place of hardship and struggle. Amber 3 was optimistic, and I guess so was I. Deep down, I think we both felt that the bad times, well, knew it probably, inevitably meant not everyone was going to make it out to the other side. As the pandemic grew in scope, as the climate crisis worsened, as the web of geopolitics tightened and selfish, destructive men wrought their selfish destruction on the world, others began to talk. Behind closed doors at blue tables they met with a unified annoyance and dread. They spoke in hushed tones. Enough, is what they said. And with mutual interest at heart, a united coalition of these people in their nations would push together a special force. One that would not be outright unleashed on these cancerous and destabilizing groups, would be formed exactly because of them, because of these times. These weary people were not selfless. They were not superheroes. They all wanted the best for their own nation. But it was merely a sign of how bad things had gotten, how close we all were collectively to the edge, that the mutually selfish had to act against those dangerously, singularly self-interested. First, this new group would be sent to a lesser theater, like Africa, to show its ability and to trial run its role and function. Africa would be the testbed practice, to earn goodwill from the general public. Then after that, it would be moved into position within Syria, to wait, be open to any worldwide opportunities to cement its viability and create positive public opinion. And finally, with public support and the right strategic positioning, wait. Wait for when those destabilizing, selfish men and their nations slipped up, punched first, or finally snapped. To be there to either prevent with threat of presence, or if that failed, with action taken.